One of the layers of the stack that we still haven't seen how to assert against is the database. We've seen how to test against the UI, how to assert on the front end stores, but it's important for us to test against all layers of the stack, and to illustrate why, let's see an example. So let's say that we go ahead and create a new to-do. We've seen this code before. What I'm suggesting we want to do is that before this, we want to say that the database is empty, and afterwards we want to assert that the database contains one to-do, and that to-do contains third to-do as the text, right? So why is it not enough simply for us to assert that the to-do shows up on the UI? Well, let's go ahead and paste in that assertion. We'll reopen Cypress, and we'll see that the assertion passes even though we haven't yet gotten the response back from the backend. And the reason for that is because I've inserted an artificial delay in the server process to further illustrate this point. And the point is that we commonly show the content as created on the UI while the network request is still in flight. And we do that so that the UI doesn't feel sluggish, but anything could happen. The network could time out. Maybe the request is malformed. Maybe even the API says that the to-do was created and it hasn't actually been inserted into the database. But the point is that our assertion here can give us a false sense of security even though we haven't tested the entire contract. And it's part of our contract for the data to be in the database, to be persisted, or else we're going to have a fundamentally broken experience. So let's go ahead and make it possible to assert on our database. So we've seen how to write Cypress code in the past that interacts with our backend. We write a cy.task. We can call it db snapshot. Specifically, we're going to look for the to-dos on the snapshot. We can say that it should be empty at first, and then what we want to do after we know that we've created it is we want to say that it should deep equal, and then we'll pass in the array, and we'll just use these keys that we created. So third to do and completed is false. So let's go ahead and pop into our plugins file again. We will add a db snapshot method. This takes the name of the table that we want to get, which in our case was to-dos. So we'll return db.snapshot, passing in the table, remembering that db is the library that we created to seed our database. So let's go ahead and open that up again and add a snapshot method. So in here, we just add snapshot. This takes the name of the table that we want to pass a snapshot of. And remembering that all of this code is fairly specific to our specific database. If you have MySQL, Postgres, Redis, whatever you have, just use your own version of this code. But this is how to do the integration. So we'll just return db.get, passing in the table name, because that's how we do it in LowDB. And we'll head back to our test. And let's go run it in Cypress. So here we can see the task that ran. This is the snapshot, and we can actually see the database snapshot with that one to do. And then we can see the assertion that ran on that object. Great, so now we have a lightweight way to test a new layer of the stack. And in the next lesson, we'll keep extending upon this by testing our XHR requests.